Hey,
Times Pride.
let's talk about a big mega heel this weekend. We've got a really fun match on deck, one I'm looking forward to more than I have for an Intercontinental title match in a while. Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title. We are big fans of Braun Breaker here on the show. Sami Zayn has been fantastic.
Yeah.
This show is in Toronto. You know the crowd is going to be hot. It's like Sammy's hometown. This to me could be the match of the weekend. What say you?
It's got the potential. It's got the potential to. Sami Zayn's very, very good. Very underrated. It'll be interesting to see how his Canadian heritage fits into the equation on Saturday. And but I like. I have a lot of respect for Sami Zayn. He's paid his dues for God's sakes, and it's just a gentleman. Quite honestly, a professional. He's a real true pro. But it'll be interesting to see how the lay of the land plays out between those two guys. Ron Breaker just needs time. He just needs to he needs to evolve. But my God, he looks great. He's athletic as hell. Uh, Good dude, really good dude. Uh, how good Ron Breaker is going to be depends on he taps his learning where his learning curve stops. But he's just a. I know when I first saw him before he got in the business, I'd seen him all his life. I think his mom is originally from Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
If I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but I think so. But I might be wrong. Nice kid, polite. He was raised right. He was raised by guys who has dedicated a lot of his time to the school board there in their area there in Georgia, and I think the world of him. He's just a he's a stud. I haven't worked with I've never worked with anybody before as a booker that would not have embraced him and loved him because he's physically tough, he's reliable, he's fearless. So it's all good stuff. I have a lot of respect for this kid, and I love his dad. I've always loved his dad. His dad is always so easy to get along with. So, you know, I hope that match plays out like everybody wants. If so, we get a break. Now that show is Saturday, right?
Yeah, it's going to be this Saturday night, and I think it starts at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, and it should be a pretty awesome show. We got a men's Money in the Bank match, a women's Money in the Bank match. We've got Seth Rollins and Damian Priest for the world title. We've got the IC, as we just mentioned, and then we got the six man. So I think that's five matches. I do want to ask you about that because over on the AEW side of things, again, we're comparing apples and oranges here because WWE offers premium live events. So if you have Peacock, you get them all for free or all included. Whereas AEW has pay per views. So you're going to come out of your pocket and you're going to spend $50 or so for the show. And I think AEW takes the approach of, hey, we want to overwhelm them with value. So at the pay per view, we had 14 matches.
Yeah,
The result was a lot of great wrestling, but it was a long night.
yeah.
Meanwhile, WWE's doing 5 matches as a wrestling fan. So take your business hat off for a minute, just as a wrestling fan. What is the sweet spot for a big show, do you think? Is it based on the number of matches, the amount of time, and what should it look like, in your opinion, as a fan?
Somebody asked me that question, Connie, on Sunday because the discussion was, you know, are we giving them, are we serving too much too much barbecue? It's hard for me to even equate that answer because I believe that, uh, you know, it's a tough question. I believe that a pay per view should be 3 hours, plenty of time. If you can't conduct your business in 3 hours, you need to reevaluate your plan. At least that's my take on it. But those 4 and 5 hour pay per views are daunting, to say the least. So I am of the belief that somebody said, well, when you were down at WCW back in the day, how long were your pay-per-views? I said they were 2 hours and 50 minutes long, and that's a fact. So I think somewhere more in the 2 hour and 50-minute range is better than, or 3 hour. Just say 3 hours for simplicity's sake. Is more my wheelhouse. And now that I'm getting older, my attention span has been affected. So I think 3 hours is a nice starting point for a pay-per-view. That's just me, because you first got to cater to your audience, and I think those, when you get past three, you're gambling, and I don't know that that's a smart thing to do. Gamble with your audience's attention span, because no matter what we say, the heavy shit is at the end. It's called a main event, and I think that's something very important. You got to cater to that audience. Make sure they're covered. Make sure they like make sure they like the order. And it's just hard. It's hard to figure that out. But I think somewhere in that 3 hour range would be my preference.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.